Joining us now with more, Karl Rove, Fox News political contributor and former senior advisor and assistant to President George W. Bush, and Mo Elleithee, a Fox News contributor and executive director of Georgetown's Institute of Politics and Public Service. Great to see you both, guys. So, Karl, your thoughts on the backlash we're seeing now from these Hollywood corners, entertainment corners?
Well, first of all, thanks for having Mo and Karl on after Tim Allen. That was really a good deal. Yeah, really, thanks.
He was your warm-up
I'm with you, Karl. I'm with you.
Yeah. Look, I think it's understandable. Hollywood has been tone deaf in this election. Their anger at the election outcome has been heated, and it's led them to do stupid things. Look, the First Lady ought to be off limits, and maybe it took Ms. Hadid a week in order to prepare that, but if that's the best she could do after a week, I'd recommend she find another thing other than trying to be a comedian. Maybe she ought to just stick to fashion.
Weren't we told, Mo, by the Democrats for the past 8 years that the First Lady is off limits?
Yeah, look, I didn't find that joke very tasteful. But let me say this. Karl's right that people are angry. There's been a lot of anger now for quite some time on both sides. And I think some of the stuff that we saw last night wasn't appropriate, just as I think a lot of the stuff that we saw being directed towards President Obama and Secretary Clinton during the campaign at Trump rallies was not appropriate. Both sides need to just calm down and just need to cool off for a little bit.
Well, meanwhile, what do you make of what happened to Vice President-elect Mike Pence at Hamilton over the weekend, where the actor who plays Aaron Burr, Brandon Victor Dixon, had a message for Mike Pence that Mike Pence actually took like a real gentleman and took the high road in response to it. But there's been a lot of backlash, Karl, on whether this actor was in any position to lecture the Vice President-elect while he was there observing the show.
Yeah, look, with a change of a few words, it could have been appropriate. Rather than saying we're alarmed and anxious that you're not going to defend our inalienable rights, a reference to the Declaration's pledge of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, if he had simply said, look, we hope for your administration's success in upholding our inalienable rights. And rather than saying, we hope that coming here tonight inspired you to uphold our American values and to work on all our behalf, what if he'd said, we hope that you're inspired by what you heard tonight as you work on behalf of all Americans in our common country. The intimation right from the get-go was, you're against us, you're not going to even uphold our fundamental constitutional rights, and we're hoping that you were smart enough to finally figure it out during this show on Broadway
what he said is,
to do the right thing.
We are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us, our planet, our children, our parents, or defend us or uphold our inalienable rights, and goes on from there. But Mo, the Hamilton actor who lectured our Vice President-elect has called women hoes on Twitter. There was a woman who tweeted out, remember when NFL players would just play the game, bang, mad hoes, and collect their checks? Guess that's not enough anymore. And he responded saying, the problem is hoes aren't what they used to be. If Ho Game would step up, cats wouldn't get distracted. So there's already questions being raised about whether this particular actor was in the best position to lecture Vice President-elect Mike Pence on unity.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen those tweets, but let me say this just about the broad issue of what happened at Hamilton. The same people that are, and I think Karl made some valid points there, but there is an inalienable right to free speech, and he had a platform and he used it. I thought the way he did it, I think the way the Hamilton cast did it, was far more respectful than what we saw last night. And I thought Mike Pence's response was exactly right.
Very dignified.
The point is, there are a lot of people out there who feel anxious, who feel afraid. And I think Donald Trump's tweet storm attacking Hamilton didn't do anything to alleviate that. Rather than go on the attack, but I think what he could have done was simply say, you know what, people of Hamilton, I will work every day to make sure that I allay that concern and prove to you that I will work for everyone. That would have been far better.
Because President-elect Trump is supposed to be against political correctness and against safe spaces, and he believes in the right to offend, and that this goes with that. But let me ask you this, Mo: were you equally? Did you also defend the free speech rights of Dr. Ben Carson when he stood up at the National Prayer Breakfast and called out Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, to his face? Because we saw a lot on the left in that situation outraged that he spoke truth to power in a setting that wasn't supposed to be political. But now when the actor from Hamilton does it, you'd think the guy is in line for a Nobel Peace Prize. They love it when somebody does it to a Republican. They didn't really love it when Ben Carson did it to the sitting president.
Yeah, my problem with what Ben Carson said has always been the substance of what he said. We just have a fundamental disagreement on the policy. And, you know, for people to speak up, that's one thing. Do it respectfully and make your point.
He was respectful, but he got savaged. I'll give it to Karl. He got savaged by many on the left for having the nerve to say things like the debt is too big and we need to work on Obamacare right in front of the president in a setting they said that was inappropriate and not meant for political speeches, just like Hamilton.
Yeah. Well, look, he didn't say one thing. He didn't question President Obama's fundamental commitment to the Declaration of Independence and the promise of the Constitution, which is exactly what Mr. Dixon did on Saturday night by saying we're alarmed and anxious. You will not even uphold our inalienable rights. So, yeah, there was a difference. You're right. The left trashed Ben Carson.
But the right has been saying that. The right has been saying that about Barack Obama for years. I mean, let's be fair here.
Well, and the right also defended Ben Carson, and now they're savaging the Hamilton actor. So there's hypocrisy on both sides. By the way, I challenge you viewers at home to say the word inalienable. Say it fast. Inalienable. Inalienable. It's not easy.
3 times fast.
Right, exactly.
Great to see you both.